My only thought is winning. It's the only thought I have. That's it.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So it was pretty clear from the comments made by Quinton on the latest post of Tonio Burton that he is in fact in for the New York Pro. But now he has made it official by making this announcement on IG that he's on. It was pretty much on the cards, the rumor was all true. And I want to give a huge shout out to Fuad Ubad's podcast, specifically Big Mike. He was the first one to mention that Quinton is doing the New York Pro. And why won't he? This is his chance to stand next to the third best bodybuilder on the planet. And in his mind, of course, he's gonna be his biggest competition. His comparison with Tonio Burton is what actually people will be looking forward to. Because I think we have established this fact that none of these guys have a chance to beat Nick Walker. So it is gonna be really interesting how Quinton and Tonio stand next to each other. And if we think about it, Quinton is just a bigger version of Tonio Burton, except from the back. So we will see how these guys stack up. Because Tonio Burton does have the ability to make people look soft and narrow, especially from the back. He was bigger in both of the back shots against a guy like Rafael Brandao at the Arnold Brazil. So Quinton has also invested a whole full year, actually more than 1 year, towards the growth phase. He has one of the best structure in the men's open bodybuilding. And this is a great opportunity to announce himself to the whole bodybuilding world, to tell everyone that he is coming. So Quinton is more than likely to do Cali Pro as well. And I'm telling you guys, the way this season has been shaping up, some of these guys are definitely gonna miss out on their Olympia qualification. Now, let's talk about the mutant himself, Nick Walker. And I think as fans, we would like to see Nick Walker pick a name here. Who is gonna be his biggest competition at the New York Pro? Now, I think we would all expect that the name might be Quinton Beastwood, because both of these guys are sponsored by the same company, and both are being coached by the same guy, Matt Jensen. But that's Nick Walker.
Me.
He has that winning mentality, and right now, he is less than 3 weeks out of the show, and all he must be thinking about is winning. And for Nick Walker to set himself up as a potential Mr. Olympia title contender for this year's Mr. Olympia in October, he doesn't just need to win this show, he needs to win it in a very dominating fashion. He needs to demolish that lineup. And Nick Walker has a lot to prove this year. And technically speaking, not only does he have to beat Hadi Chopin and Derek Linsford, he needs to beat Samson Dauda as well in order to be top 3 in the world. Because the last time Nick Walker and Samson Dauda went up against each other, that was at the Arnold Classic 2023. Samson got the best of him, and he won the Arnold. And contrary to what people believe, that was a straight first place finish for Samson Dauda. Because all the judges favor him. So to get to Derek Linsford, he needs to beat 2 more guys first. So I think all of us expect him to dominate the New York Pro. And I think all of the bodybuilding world is so thankful to Nick Walker for not sticking by his idea of getting a special invite for the Olympia this year, based on the fact that he got injured just a couple of weeks before the Olympia 2023. And it was kinda disheartening for the whole bodybuilding world, as we did not get to see him compete on the stage in 2023. So we are finally gonna see him in Pittsburgh, as well as the New York Pro. I'm pretty sure that this is the first time Nick Walker will be guest posing at this event in a contest-ready condition. So since we are talking about the New York Pro, let's have a look at Martin Fitzwater's physique update at about 3 weeks out of the New York Pro, and 2 weeks before his guest posing at the Pittsburgh. So some people say that he has been given a push by the IFB Pro League to guest pose at one of the biggest events of the year. And maybe they did, and maybe they know that he is in a great shape, and maybe they can see that this guy has great potential. And that is why they added his name to the biggest guest posing event of the year. And if we think about it, there are some other comparators as well who are prepping for the New York Pro, like Tonio Burton. Now he isn't getting this opportunity to guest pose alongside the biggest names in bodybuilding. So Martin certainly got a lot of attention after winning Detroit Pro. Now some people have him as high as 2nd place at the New York Pro in the predictions, which means only one thing, that they have him beating Tonio Burton, who is currently top 8 in the world. So if he is able to accomplish that, his stocks are gonna go up like crazy. So Martin is only 27 years old, and he is being compared to the likes of Phil Heath. And Phil Heath is one of the greatest bodybuilder of all time. And before people start losing their mind, no one thinks that he is Phil Heath or Dexter Jackson. But they can see that he can definitely get closer as he acquires more muscle maturity, more density. As he acquires more size, as he puts on more lean muscle tissue on his frame. He has awesome quads, great vacuum. His back looked extremely good in Detroit Pro. and his conditioning in those hamstrings and glutes, that is awesome every single time he steps on stage. So let's see how he does at the New York Pro, because this could be a career-changing show for him. And just because the New York Pro and California Pro are just 1 week apart, and so far there hasn't been any confirmation that Nick Walker is doing that, so Martin might jump into that show as well. Now, let's talk about the guy who placed runner-up at the New York Pro last year, and a guy who is getting very less media coverage. That is Stuart Sutherland, aka Beef Stu. And yes, I know the lineup is a lot more deeper, especially in comparison to last year. But I really believe that Stu should not be ignored here either. He's also coming back to the stage after a gap of 1 year. So he also guest posed today at 3 weeks out of the show. And we can say that he looks bigger and better than 2023. And I don't think there is an exaggeration in saying this, that all of these guys will look extremely good, especially in comparison to 2023. But here is the fact. All of these guys are looking really good, standing by themselves. But when these guys stand next to each other, when they're being compared to the best of the best, that is exactly when your flaws gets exposed. And I can totally understand why he doesn't have a lot of hype behind him, even though he was runner-up in 2023. Now, structurally speaking, he was bigger than Tonio Burton last year as well, and I think he's gonna be even bigger this year. But this time he is neither the biggest guy, nor he is the most athletic guy in that New York Pro lineup. So Stu decided way back that the first show that he is gonna do in 2024, that is gonna be the New York Pro. So let's see how this goes for him. And he is also another guy who is most probably gonna do Cali Pro as well. Brett Wilkin's physique update is next, who guest posed today looking very big and really huge, and he must be really proud of his comeback. Guys, muscle memory is a powerful thing, and I said this so many times before, that the moment he gets back on the protocol, he's gonna blow right back up. And guess what? This is quite possibly one of the best looks of Brett Wilkin so far in his entire professional career, especially for the off-season phase. Now, Brett Wilkin wants to step on Mr. Olympia stage this year, and this is gonna be his Olympia debut, even though he was qualified for the Olympia last year, but he was unable to do it. So if he wants to step on the Olympia stage, he must be really careful about the shows that he's gonna pick. And I believe he must pick a show that is scheduled a few months from now, and also a show that is not very close to the Olympia. His current condition looks extremely good, but let's not forget how crazy shredded he gets when it's time to step on stage. He was so on at Romania Pro in 2022, and him and Behrouz Tabani battled it out, and Behrouz has some of the best conditioning in the men's open bodybuilding, but still, Brett really went toe-to-toe with him. So sitting out of the Olympia last year, and not being able to make his Olympia debut, that must have been a really hard pill to swallow. Because he was getting ready for the Olympia for more than 1 year. He was the first one to qualify for the Olympia 2023 because he won the Big Man weekend, and that was the first Olympia qualifier for 2023. But this could be a silver lining. He could come back in 2024 better than ever at his all-time best. So Martin Fitzwater and Brett Wilkin are some of the most hardcore trainers in the pro bodybuilding right now. So expect to see some real improvements in Brett Wilkin's physique as well. And keep in mind, he's also being coached by Matt Jensen. So Brett Wilkin wasn't the only one who took off his shirt for the crowd today. The Predator Tonio Burton also gave the crowd a sneak peek of what to expect in 3 weeks' time. Now, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Tonio has put himself in a really tricky spot by missing the Detroit Pro. The likelihood of him winning the New York Pro are second to none, and no one really knows who's gonna show up at Cali Pro. And Tonio Burton has already been in prep for quite some time now. So him and his coach did a very good job for the Arnold Classic South America. And whether or not he should have won that show, that is a separate debate. But his team did such a bad job for not signing up for Detroit Pro as a plan B. And don't get me wrong, Tonio Burton looks really awesome right now. He's looking all 3D, all bubbly, and we all know he's gonna be in condition. But the chances of him beating a guy like Nick Walker, I don't think there is a chance. Now, it is gonna be really interesting to see how this new version of Tonio Burton compares to the likes of Martin Fitzwater and Quinton Beef Stu, because Martin too has a very great back, and he really is very complete top to bottom. So Tonio Burton is currently top 8 in the world, and he was able to beat guys like Regan Grimes and Hassan Mustafa at the Olympia last year. But still, we cannot ignore this fact that multiple big names were missing from the Olympia stage last year. Guys like Ian Valier, like Nick Walker, Rafael Brandao, Big Ramy. So this year, we will see where his true potential lies. Now let's talk about some updates other than the New York Pro. We have an update from Akim Williams, less than 6 weeks out of this year's Toronto Pro. So Akim, by beating all these guys at this year's Arnold Classic Ohio and UK, except Samson Dauda, Hadi Chopin and Rafael Brandao. And by the way, I have to say, if Rafael Brandao was as off as he was at the Arnold Brazil, I think he would have lost to Akim Williams as well. So by beating all those big names, the fans have started to believe once again that he can be a potential threat in the top 10 at the Olympia stage this year. And I have to say rightfully so. So his next show is going to be Toronto Pro, which I'm sure all of us has a mutual consensus, at least as of right now, that he is the favorite going into that show. So in all honesty, Akim Williams has been qualifying for Mr. Olympia every year except for 2023, when he chose not to compete in any show except for the Arnold Classic. And the reason was he had to get that shoulder surgery and take care of that injury that happened because of an accident prior to Tampa Pro 2022. So we have all been waiting to see an Akim Williams the way he was at the Olympia 2020 once again. Because that was the year when so many people thought that Akim has finally found the right path, and that if he continues to grow this way, if he continues down this path, he's definitely gonna move up, and he might even get a chance to stand next to guys like Big Ramy. And these comments were made by Dennis James at that time. And keep in mind, Big Ramy won the Olympia in 2020, and that was arguably one of the best Big Ramy ever. And the reason people were so confident in Akim Williams was because he isn't outmuscled by anyone. Even now, I don't think there is anyone in the Pro League who can actually outmuscle Akim Williams, especially from the front. And his side shots are some of the best in the game. And most importantly, he has got the symmetry. Because as big as this guy is, he has a very nice flow, he has very small waist, very deep separated quads. So if you guys ask me, I still think that Akim can do extremely well at the Olympia level. Better than most of the people think. Especially if he can bring up his back double biceps, at least to a certain extent. And yes, I know that is a genetic thing, but that is just 1 week short for Akim Williams. Especially if he's on. He's very complete in every other shot.
Important is this title to you?
It's so important.
212.
It's very important. I tell my girlfriend all the time, this is going to be a life-changing year. I told her that every single day last year before we won.
Next up, we have a physique update from Keone Pearson, the reigning 212 Mr. Olympia. You guys should definitely check out his latest interview with Jay Cutler on the Cutler's Cast. His mind has been totally transformed after winning his first ever 212 Mr. Olympia title. He knows Sean Corrida is gonna come hard. He's gonna come in guns blazing to reclaim his title, and most probably this is gonna be Sean's final realistic chance of becoming 212 Mr. Olympia once again, considering his age. And that is why Keone is so locked in, even during the off-season. He is as dedicated as he is during the prep.
I'm training every day like my life depends on it. This is my job. This is what pays the bills.
So it's a close.
And for a guy like Keone Pearson, who has some of the greatest genetics that bodybuilding world has ever seen, when someone like that develops such a great work ethic, he really becomes unbeatable. Kinda like the great Phil Heath. And that is what Keone's mindset is right now, to become unbeatable. And it is more than likely that Keone will step on the men's bodybuilding stage in the future, possibly as early as the Arnold 2025. So him and the current Mr. Olympia in the men's open bodybuilding, they have very similar shapes. They have a lot of similarities. Now Keone's back isn't as good as Derek Lunsford's. I mean, no one has as good back as Derek. But we have seen in this current off-season, especially after the Olympia last year, his back has been continuously getting better. Plus, both of these guys have another advantage. Both of these guys are in their 20s. So with every passing year, they are going to acquire more and more muscle maturity, more density. And that is one thing their top rivals have on these guys. But for now, because eventually they are going to get that muscle maturity.
To go against Derek.
Yeah.
I would love to go against
As much
Derek.
as he gave you great advice, you still want to see how you compare.
Of course. I got all the respect for Derek, but I definitely would love to go against him.
Personally, I think Keone is going to create more distance between him and all the other 212 competitors. He is 100% focused on winning every single day. And a big part of him getting mature is realizing that he is pursuing his passion, which pays so well for making a living as well, especially when you are at the top. Next up, we have a physique update of the former bodybuilding legend, Rich Gaspari. Just like so many great guys who competed in the era of great Phil Heath and never won a single Mr. Olympia title. Guys like Kai Green, Dennis Wolf, even the guy who took down Phil Heath at the end, Sean Roden in 2018. It took him 7 years to do that. And it happened after Phil Heath was past his prime. So the point I was trying to make here is this, that Rich Gaspari also competed against a true legend of the sport, the one who has the same number of Olympia titles as Ronnie Coleman. I am talking about Lee Haney. And for a guy like Rich Gaspari, who did not have the shape or the height of Lee Haney, that made it impossible for him to beat a guy like Lee Haney and win the Olympia title. But the fact that Gaspari was able to place runner-up at the Olympia multiple times, that goes to show you how dedicated he was and how hard he trained. And that still reflects in his physique even at this age. And for those of you guys who do not know, he was actually the one who came in with shredded glutes for the very first time on the bodybuilding stage. And he just changed the whole bodybuilding after that. A few weeks ago, he trained with Terence Ruffin, who is the top classic physique guy right now. And he was pushing the same weight as Terence Ruffin. And that too in a leg workout, which is kinda insane. Because we know Terence has probably one of the biggest set of weights in classic physique division. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video. And smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.